Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Upper Tier on YouTube, its own channel. Head over there, smash the subscribe and bell notification button. Audio versions of the show can be found wherever you pick up your audio podcasts, but especially Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. That's where you will find us. Joining me tonight for a massive preview. This is a monstrous game coming at you Saturday, lunchtime. The Blues versus the Blues, but who will be singing the blues at the end of this? Man City versus Chelsea coming at you from the Etihad. Top of the table clash. Title race decider, I would imagine. Joining me from the Dynamo's Dozen with their new channel, absolutely beginning to make waves in the Dynamo Kelly. How are you, my man?
I am very, very well. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to this show. It's been a while where we've just had a preview. We've done plenty of reviews, so it's nice to have a preview and talk hypothetically and see whether one of us see if I'm upset tomorrow or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you never know. We might catch it tomorrow from match reaction and player ratings as well if the time and suits. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Let's see how the preview goes. Let's see how the preview goes first. Interesting clash. Insofar as one team so far, as in City, have seemed to have done all right. Don't seem to have been negatively affected by the pandemic and the virus. Chelsea seem to have had a real tough time of it. Not less through injuries. Also, they've been depleted with the AFCON, and they've also had outbreaks of the virus causing them problems, but have weathered the ship somewhat, and at times have had to, be satisfied with draws and having to accept them, and a sprinkling of wins in there. If you look at the form at the moment, Man City is all about the W's. They're in unbelievable form at the moment, in an unbelievable run, albeit a number of games so far in the last, say, 8 to 10 games, they've weathered a bit of a storm and picked up a couple of 1-0s when they've had to.
Bit of luck as well.
Bit of luck on the way as well, yeah. Which you need at times to win a title. You also need a little.
But that's
bit
what
of luck.
Referees are there for, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Talk to me, Chelsea. First of all, been a tough time for the Blues, isn't it? It's been very testing on the squad, and you've lost real. When we talk about losing players and having a squad, it's very hard to replace a Chilwell. It's very hard to replace a Reece James. You can't have guys of that level sitting on your bench, because they wouldn't be sitting on your bench. They'd be playing football for some other big club.
They'd want to leave,
Tell us from your point of view, how has it been the last, say, 5 to 6 weeks, as I won't say the wheels have come off, but they've slightly had the brake pad pushed against them a little bit.
Well, I'm kind of glad you brought that up. And I mean, this is no disrespect to the Liverpool fans listening out there, but we heard last year Liverpool fans, and rightly so, and Klopp moan about injuries constantly. Do you know what I mean? And fixture congestion and stuff like that. And rightly so, because you did have injuries to key players, and it sucks when it happens. I feel that the media haven't really been talking enough about Chelsea's injuries, because you probably had the two best fullbacks on form at the time before they got injured. Chilwell was probably on
outstanding.
He was on ridiculous form. The amount of assists he was making, the amount of goals he was scoring. Same with James. And two really kind of devastating injuries that absolutely killed us. And that is key to that system. Your wing backs are key to that system. So when you're bringing Alonso, and I hope people got what I meant by that, Alonso, who literally thinks he's God's gift to football. I don't know what the story with his attitude is at times. He can be okay, but I just don't like his attitude. I think it's actually terrible that he's still at Chelsea Football Club in 2022. It just, unfortunately, we can't get rid of him at this stage. And that's due to the board as well, also kind of overpricing our players at times as well. That's Marina, unfortunately. For all the good Marina does, she does plenty of bad. So she's a 50-50 one when it comes to how she's appreciated by Chelsea fans. I'm sure you see that on Twitter yourself.
Yeah.
It's usually the manager that gets sacked, and realistically it should be her, because she's not backing the managers when they need it.
Mm.
The fact that we're still talking about whether we need to sign a fullback or not when we know our main left back is out for the rest of the season is just baffling to me. I also understand that Luca Digne and stuff like that. We do have Emerson on loan. We have Ian Matson on loan, young kid in Coventry. You've probably seen him.
Yeah.
Really, really good left back.
Yeah.
And I think he would, if he was back there now, and I think he's got potential to be a good backup to you know, to Chilwell. But on the right, I think they probably are going to do a bit of business. I know that they're in talks with Barcelona about that loan deal with your man Serginho Dest, the American kid, the right back. Probably be a decent shout, to be fair, to bring in at right back. You know, especially if you could get him on loan and then possibly buy him in the summer, or you know, at least weigh up the options in the summer. But I understand whether kind of they're hesitant to pull the trigger on buying a left back purely because we would have so many left backs on the books then, which makes it impossible then to shift them all. But no, I'm glad you brought it up. I know I'm kind of rambling a bit, but I know what you said there is true. I mean, what people forget as well is we've had Kovacic out with injury and COVID. Then we've had Kante out with injury and COVID. So we have been absolutely crucified with injuries. Same with Werner was out with injury and COVID. Havertz out with injury and COVID. And I know injuries happen to clubs and stuff like that in teams, but it seems like it gets overlooked a little bit with us this season that has been the case. It's not been.
Do you know what it is? I think it's because I know you have had a really bad time of it, but I think because all teams are getting affected by it, it's like as if the media side of it has taken the view, well, you know, this is Chelsea Football Club, massive squad, huge loan book. You know, you're less inclined to throw maybe a little bit of sympathy at it as well. And I just think in terms of Tuchel as well, I mean, the minefield that he's had to kind of navigate over the last, say, 5 to 6 weeks. I mean, you've had injuries, you've had problems with the virus, you've had contractual issues, especially with your back line. Lukaku, the whole debacle with Lukaku, who was your 100 million quid signing, the last piece of the jigsaw, blah, 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 blah,
and
blah.
done. And I'm sure we'll get on to Lukaku. I'm sure you're going to ask me about him later, so I won't jump in on that one yet.
Yeah, but it's a measure of Tuchel as well that he's been able to maintain himself in terms of trying to navigate through all this and still somewhat maintain a charge still towards a title race.
That's it. I mean,
I think most teams who wouldn't have the kind of depth that Chelsea has would have folded greatly.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about depth a lot, but like the depth that we have isn't great, as we've seen now. At the start of the season, we thought on paper, Ross Barkley is not a footballer anymore, I'm afraid. He's maybe he is a naturally gifted footballer, but it's not up there with him. So I hear Everton want him back. I would happily send him back to Everton. I'd even pay for the taxi. Don't care what is a transfer fee. I think he's a shocking attitude, and just not really, he's not a top player. You know what I mean? I think that's been proven. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, when he's come on, has done bits. He's done okay, but again, what is he like? You know, when is he Kovacic or is he Kante or is he Jorginho? I think Jorginho
or something else. Or something else.
You know what I mean? It's just like he's not really stepped up for me. And I'm a massive Ruben Loftus-Cheek fan. I'm literally still rooting for him. But I got to be honest, as a Chelsea fan as well, and not just say everything's great and everyone's great, because you can't. You know, I mean, I look at a Loftus-Cheek and I say, is he really maintaining his place ahead of Conor Gallagher next year? No, not for me. Or even a Gilmore, you know, lads who have that potential. Then you look at the kind of like Hakim Ziyech. He's done bits, in fairness. He's done a job all right for us, but he's another player who's a Mayfainer. For all of our international listeners, that means a selfish footballer. You look at Hakim Ziyech, I'm sure you have many a times. He will never look for that square pass where it's a tap in. It's just constantly going for goal, you know. And
he's shooting when he should be playing a player.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? They're the key differences with front lines, with the likes of Mane and the Salah. Do you know what I mean? On your wings. I think we're getting into a clutch season where the likes of Pulisic, as all good Americans do near playoff time, they step up, and Pulisic is looking like he could step up. But even the likes of Hudson-Odoi and all, like Hudson-Odoi needs to really start putting numbers up. You know what I mean? Because he's 22 now. You know, the likes of Saka and Phil Foden now are ahead of him in the pecking order in terms of who's been spoken about. Yet he was meant to be the guy. He got his 100 grand contract, you know, when Bayern and all wanted him. So I'm looking around the squad and I'm saying, right, on paper, yes, we have fantastic squad if you're playing FIFA. But now Tuchel needs them to show it on the pitch. I think Timo Werner, in fairness to him, in his kind of wide role that he's been kind of used in recently, has done pretty well. I think Kai Havertz, in fairness, I know he's kind of struck with COVID and injuries, and I think he's had COVID as many times as me at this point. But against Tottenham the other week, last week, he was absolutely phenomenal. And again, this all is credited to the manager. He showed Man United and Ralph how to play 4-2-2-2 against Tottenham that first game. Absolutely destroyed Conte the first game and left them dumbfounded as to what to do. Changed to a back four, had the two and the two, and the way they interlinked was absolutely fantastic. I think his setup against Liverpool was fantastic. I mean, even talking to yourself and Liverpool fans, you boys couldn't believe you were up 2-0, to be fair, during that game, you know, because of those little mistakes that they made and then came back. So, I mean, for me, I took that as a win just from a team perspective. You know what I mean? Not the 3 points we wanted, but from a team perspective, that showed right. The troops rallied behind the manager.
Bit of character.
Yeah, 100%. So it has been a weird season. However, look, we're in a cup final. Would you be surprised if we go all the way to the Champions League final? No, because you would have said this time last year, before Tuchel took over, that we wouldn't be anywhere near the Champions League final either. So I think there's still good things ahead, and I think tomorrow, might be a little bit of a surprise for the likes of yourself and Darren. I know you predicted the 2-1 City. I think Chelsea are going to go into this with nothing to lose because City have already won it.
Well, we did predict it as being tied as well. I did say that, like, we wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw.
Yeah.
But again, 100%. I think the point that we were making is if you're 10 points behind, these are the fixtures where you have to try and claw back. Like, you'd be hoping to win tomorrow, claw back to 3.
100%.
You'd hope that when
100%.
we play them, we beat them, claw back another 3, and then we have a title race again. But if you lose and we lose, then it's done. Because really, it's only really Chelsea and Liverpool that are really going to put up a battle against them. Okay, you'll get the odd crazy result where you might get a draw against, say, Brighton or something like that. But in reality, they just pick off teams week after week after week. They're like a machine.
But that's what £1 billion under Pep, gets you.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing about it is that I've noticed as well going into this game, and I've listened to a bit of analysis on it over the last day or so. And the one thing that's been disregarded in this is people are forgetting this is the Premier League champions versus the European champions. And that's all forgotten in the wash of this as well, because there's so much going on with everything else that both these teams are having to deal with, that they have forgotten that you guys are the current European champions. And on your day are as good as anyone.
Pep said that in his press conference. He goes, let's not talk about just the game at the start of the season. Tuchel came out and admitted today that he got his tactics wrong in the first game. And we had that conversation at the time.
Yeah.
But he said it wasn't intentionally that he got his tactics wrong. It didn't work with the players that he had. And he turned around at the end and said, lesson learned. Now, Pep turned around, you probably heard this yourself, and said, Tuchel is one of the best managers in the world and one of the only managers that I actually learn something from every time I play him. He goes, tactical genius. And that's the thing. If you look at Lukaku played 90 minutes midweek, he's not playing tomorrow. Koi is definitely going to be playing that front line again tomorrow. And we've seen what Kai Havertz has done. Let's not forget, 3 times last year within the space of 3 months, Chelsea destroyed Man City. once in the FA Cup semi-final, once in the league, if you remember, at the Etihad as well,
and Champions League final,
and once in the final.
Yeah.
So we've had their number, in fairness, since Tuchel's come in. And I'm not going to get ahead of myself here and say that we're going to hammer them tomorrow. I'm not. We'll get to the predictions later on. Yeah. But I think we're going to pose them a lot more problems tomorrow, especially with the likes of Thiago back, the likes of Kante back, Havertz fully fit, Werner looking sharp in terms of creating those spaces again. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game tomorrow.
Yeah, that leads me nicely into a bit of team news. If you look at City at the moment, just reading up on it there, Phil Foden and Zinchenko are believed to be both affected and both out. So maybe the virus is beginning to grip Man City now slightly later than everyone else, which again, you know,
which you don't wish on, by the way. You don't wish that
on anyone, but it could even up the playing field a little bit in the next 3 to 4 weeks, depending on how Liverpool and Chelsea do.
Christensen's out for Chelsea as well, isn't he?
I'm just going to go through it there now. I'll finish off at City first. John Stones, he's close to returning after having a knock. And Riyad Mahrez, as we know, was at the AFCON. Ederson should be back between the sticks. What else are they saying here? Laporte is also expected to return in place of Nathan Ake, if Stones is still not available. And then for Chelsea, obviously we've spoke about Chilwell, we've spoke about Reece James, Trevor Chalobah, and Edward Mendy are at the AFCON.
Chalobah's English. Is he not? He plays for England.
Sorry. My mistake there. I think he's out injured, isn't he? He's out injured.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's injured, yeah.
And then Mendy is missing from the AFCON.
He's the only one that we're missing.
I read that wrong. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
And Andreas Christensen is out with the virus.
COVID. Yeah.
So they're expecting to return. Obviously, Thiago Silva will be there. N'Golo Kante will be available. What else are they saying here? But they're saying it'll be a tall order to replace Kovacic and Jorginho at the moment. I don't think it'll be that much of a tall order. And then they're expecting Kai Havertz back in there. So good show from you there earlier, Kai Havertz.
Well, Jorginho and Kovacic are fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So he's a full midfield to pick from, basically.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Which is the first time, I'd say, in a long time he's had that, in fairness.
Yeah.
And then they're talking about, as I said to you, they're looking at a recall for Kai Havertz up there. And then it's a question of Timo Werner and Lukaku as to what he wants to do. So looking at probable lineups, if you're looking at City, you have Ederson, Walker, Diaz, Laporte, Cancelo, Gundogan, Rodri, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, who I think is one of the players of the season so far.
100%.
Jesus 100%. And potentially Foden. And then for Chelsea, you've got Kepa between the sticks because obviously Mendy's at the AFCON.
By the way, who has stepped in admirably any time this year? The only time this year we've seen Kepa, he's not put a foot wrong. Yeah, well, we knew the quality of the guy. The problem is, it's just there was an awful confidence thing with him there for a while and stuff like that. Thiago Silva, Rudiger, Sarr, Azpilicueta, Jorginho, Kovacic, Alonso, Mount, Havertz, and Lukaku. That's what they're calling as the probable lineup. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I think Malang Sarr, I have to say, in the last two games against Tottenham, has not put a foot wrong. He played left back against Tottenham during the week. We played with a back four. We had Christensen and Rudiger. Obviously Christensen's got the virus and stuff like that, but to be honest with you, Christensen's on the way out. I personally wouldn't play him again anyway, just because of his attitude and his fuckery with the club, considering he agreed a contract and then suddenly got a new agent and wanted more money when it was actually the manager that backed him because he was doing nothing under Lampard. He backed him and gave him a fucking, and now Bayern and Barca are after him. So I say good riddance to Christensen. I would personally just not even have him on the bench for the rest of the season just because of his attitude. That's just my opinion. and I'm sure, like if you were a Liverpool fan, you'd probably say the same if it was a player doing the same to your club. You know what I mean? That Klopp had kind of invested in. Imagine Joe Gomez acting like that or something.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem you have is the fact that if your squad is so depleted, you're gonna need these people. On any other situation or any other circumstance, you'd say, yeah, feck off down there to the reserves and we'll see it. Good luck.
Yeah, but I think Tuchel has shown, like, he's done it with Lukaku. You know what I mean? And he's our superstar signing.
Yeah, but that situation was resolved very quick, though, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but
not resolved, but you know what I mean.
His performance hasn't been resolved, though. That's the problem with Lukaku.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of the sweeping of the issue slightly away to get on.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. But Lukaku once again failed. I mean, he struggled against a non-league side. Like Werner was literally setting him up left, right, and centre, and he struggled against them. And Werner was only short to scoring the goal for him. Same against Tottenham the other day. Just he's celebrating with people, and it's like, and he had a couple of chances. You probably saw the chances that he had against Tottenham. Like 9 times you're saying.
Yeah.
So stop doing interviews and start scoring goals and leave the ego at the door.
He's put himself in a very difficult position.
Difficult position.
It's his mind at the moment. It's very difficult to imagine his mind at the moment is on football. He's clearly stated he wants away. He's clearly stated he's not happy there. You can't turn around and go.
Then he's come back and said, no, I signed for 5 years and I'm happy to be here. It wasn't what I meant. But you're right, because on 2 different interviews, he's saying 2 different things. So you're right. If you're looking at it like as a sportscaster that you are, you're going, do you believe him with his apology?
I'll put it out there now. If he's still there in August, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, I mean,
Roman doesn't suffer fools gladly, and he'll be proper pissed. The money he invested in him, the project that he sold him, Tuchel, the squad that's around him. I mean, he has everything there. He arguably has 100% more there than what he ever had at Inter Milan, and yet he has a problem. So I don't know. I think that's something. I think what you do is you unload him in the summer. You try and recover back as much of that.
But where do you unload him to? That's the problem.
Someone will take him. There's always someone. How many times it's like managers? How many failed managers get great jobs?
Yeah, like the Borussia Dortmund pull the trigger and look at him as a replacement for Haaland if he potentially goes, and like you sell him. Like, I'll be honest with you, I would not be, if I was Mourinho, I'd not be doing this stupid nonsense of trying to recoup the 100 million back. I'd be looking at trying to get a decent, cutback.
Damage limitation.
Because if we're looking at it, it's come out today that Rudiger is asking between 180 and 200 grand a week. If someone with today's money, if someone tells me that he is not worth that, they can go fuck themselves. Because
I know he is. I think a lot of that wave came when people were talking about the 400. But the 400 was never real. It was never media.
Of course, it was exaggerated. So if that's like, that contract should be signed now, done. Because what I only learned today that Lukaku was on 350 grand a week.
Yeah.
Madness.
and doesn't want to be there.
Like, you absolute overgrown buffoon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I personally don't want him to start tomorrow. I think Kai Havertz has done a great job at that false 9. He's done kind of Bobby Firmino type things at times. If you know what I mean, because I know you're a big fan of Havertz. He has that ability, and I think when you have him with someone like a Pulisic and a Werner, it kind of allows him to get that space, because those two are so pacey, and that's what I'm thinking tomorrow. To stay on point with the game, I'm thinking, for me, I would be thinking Pulisic, Havertz, and Werner would be my front three, or Mount, maybe Mount for Pulisic, because Mount can do that job too. He's been phenomenal this year as well. Mount, he's kind of gone under the radar, hasn't he? And you forget that he's the top scorer and top assists for Chelsea as well. I would be personally.
It's a conundrum up front, isn't it? Because you're up against a very, very strong defense with the likes of Diaz in there and Laporte and stuff like that. And
But Diaz hates playing against Kai Havertz, as we seen last year. Not
yeah,
just in one match, not just
yeah,
in 2 matches, but 3 matches. He's put him on his backside, and then not only did he do it for Chelsea, he also made mincemeat out of Ruben Diaz for against Portugal as well, if you remember.
Yeah,
for Germany.
yeah.
I think he's that type of player, that smart player that Diaz would hate playing against. Whereas if you have Lukaku playing up front tomorrow, they will eat that up all day.
Yeah. Before I get your prediction, I read today the boy Kennedy was recalled, and he gave an interview there saying that he was surprised he had been recalled. Thoughts on it?
Well, he's been shite for his for his lonely club apparently.
Yeah. Hence the shock.
Yeah. So I think realistically, I know Romano came out today and said that it was a recall because he wasn't getting played, more so to give him a different loan to try and keep a bit of value on the boy. I think more so. And then I know Tuchel did come out today and say, look, he has an opportunity now because he can play at left wing back and left wing.
Yeah.
He has an opportunity if he applies himself to maybe put himself in the conversation. So I think that's great management.
Yeah.
When a manager's coming out and saying, well, look, now you have an opportunity, son. Show me what you've got.
Yeah, exactly what Tuchel did when he came in first. He gave everyone an opportunity
100%.
to show what they do.
100%.
Very
and we know he has the potential. We've seen Kennedy before do great things, sparsely though,
Yeah.
Very, very sparsely. So, yeah, I don't think it's the answer to the left wing back position, but at the same time, if, he can get his arm around the kid and go, look, it's between you and Alonso.
Yeah, tell me this because I don't know. Was it Tuchel who put him out on loan, or was he from the Lampard era?
He was from the Lampard era. He would have been. He wasn't really doing anything, to be fair. So I don't think Tuchel would have put him in. I don't think Tuchel would put a lot of these lads out on loan. To be honest with you, I think Chelsea kind of this all. I mean, look, it was genius what Chelsea done with some of the players like Livramento and stuff like that with Southampton and. Because you can only loan out a certain amount of players now, I think it was genius the way they put that buyback option in, because Chelsea could trigger that buyback option for Livramento at the end of the season, no problem.
Yeah.
Now it's up to him whether he wants to come back, but I'm sure if it is a case that they're gonna, spend 40 million or 30 million, I don't even think it's that high. I think it's a pretty decent price, to be honest.
He's just unfortunately he's out with a bad injury now. He picked up a bad injury last week.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm just using him as an example. That's all.
An excellent player. Yeah. Well, I suppose when you do it that way, where you do a sale with a buyback, it's comforting for the club who's getting the player as well, because it's like they're rolling the dice, but it's always going to land on sixes, because you're not going to lose money. So it in terms of, it's pretty much like a loan, but there's a financial aspect to it in terms of,
and also, because he's your player, you're more willing to play him. Whereas, if you look at the Gilmore situation with Norwich, I think those Norwich fans that have been kind of blaming Gilmore on certain results recently are absolutely idiots, to be honest with you. Yeah. The kid is fucking a quality player. Everyone said it. There's bigger problems at Norwich than...
Norwich need to take a look at their player retention plan for when they come into the Premier League. Not the boys who are coming in trying to do a job for the decent players you had in the Championship that you sell off the crown jewels.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's easy to pin it on the young lad who's coming in trying to do a job for you, who I would say has been the shining light in the first 3 or 4 months of the season for Norwich. Even though they've been on a terrible run, he has still maintained himself as being at least a 7 most weeks.
100%. You know what I mean? So for them to take it out on a player just purely because he's not their player, whereas I think you're right, when you sell the player to the team, kind of like Mark Guehi from with Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I think we sold him for like 20 million and there's a buyback for like 35 million. So like if Chelsea trigger that buyback, at least Palace know, well, look, we're getting 15 million. We're up 15 million.
Yeah. And we've had the opportunity to test and try the product. Yeah.
So it makes it's very shrewd, very, very shrewd business. But we're not here to talk business. We're here to talk on the pitch. So
absolutely. So prediction wise,
I am going to go. I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm confident in my prediction here. I think 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea.
Yeah.
That'd be a great result.
Well, for you as well.
No, I mean in terms of, because I don't want this title race done. I want this title race go all the way to April and May. I don't want.
I think Tuchel, he just spoke so confidently today in his press conference, and I looked at Pep, and Pep even said it. He goes, "I don't know what Tuchel has up his sleeve, but you're talking about one of the best managers. Like, we're only going to find out on the pitch."
Well, if you look at it on the face of it, he's given a press conference, right? He more or less has his back line. He has Kepa in there in goals, who you'd have a certain amount of confidence with. We know he's not Mendy, but we know he's in there. He'll do a job. Not dissimilar to us with Alisson and Quivin. So we know that that's good. You have your back line. You have your midfield now for the first time in a long time. Those pieces are there, depending on what way you want to use them. And you have more or less your front line. Okay, Lukaku's attitude might be all over the place, and his mind might be elsewhere. But as you said, he may not be the one who crosses the white line and takes the pitch. So you have Havertz there, you have those pieces there, Mount is there, and those players. Yeah. So he should be talking confident.
Absolutely.
But the thing against that is the fact that Man City are on such a run at the moment. You know, they're just going through teams for fun. At times you look like they're going through the motions. Now, they won't look like they're going through the motions when they play a Chelsea or a Liverpool or, you know, anyone up that end of the table. But if you look at us at the moment and you look at you at the moment, even when we're playing teams lower down the league, it's a kind of a labour for us at the moment, isn't it, to get there? Whereas for them, they'll just go in. They'll go in against, say, a Brighton, or no disrespect to them, or a Leicester, and they'll tap them up, you know, 4-0, 3-0, whatever it is. The game's nearly done at half time. We'll go in and we'll labour through a 1-0 or a 2-1.
I think that's where City's problem is, though, is when they come up against a good tactician like a Klopp or a Tuchel.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even say, and I don't mean this in disrespect, you wouldn't even call Klopp necessarily a tactician. He has his way of playing, and when Liverpool play that way, they're almost unstoppable. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I think Tuchel is a tactician. He can change the formation completely. Yeah. He kind of, he done it against you boys. You know what I mean? And you kind of didn't know what happened, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit. We thought we were going in at halftime 2-0 up. Yeah. Now we're 2-2. Yeah. What the fuck do we do? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would like to see how Man City would cope with that response.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
You can also take positives in the fact that Arteta went up against them a week or two ago, and he gave them a really, really good game.
He did.
Only from stupidity from Xhaka, which we know was there, and obviously a moment of madness from Gabriel. They were giving them a really good game and could have possibly beaten them. I'm not saying they would have, but they were really giving them a good game, and it looked like it was all Arsenal at the time till things went a little bit awry. And I just think if you look at Chelsea, who we know probably have better quality nearly all over the pitch, I would say, if not all over the pitch. So it should be a feisty, real good affair tomorrow at lunchtime.
It should be a good game because, as I said, we've nothing to lose. We know that if we lose it, that's pretty much our title race done.
Yeah.
And I mean, what's the difference in points? Chelsea and Liverpool are level at the moment, is that right? Or
no, I think you're a point ahead of us, aren't you? You're a point ahead,
right?
I think you're a point ahead. If you lose tomorrow, you'd be 13 behind Man City, which would be you're not going to claw that back.
And you boys would be the same pretty much.
Well, we're playing Brentford on Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
So you're 43, we're 42, and they're 53.
So and is there games in hand or anything there on that? Or
we have a game in hand because we haven't played Leeds. Our Leeds game is cancelled. You boys and City are both on the same amount of games, 21.
Yeah.
So there's 10 in it. So you can either change that to 7 or it'll be 13. So the swing. So this is a real title race 6-pointer tomorrow.
This is proper like title race 6-pointer. Why don't you give me your prediction as well and see how it goes? Go easy on me as well. I don't mind, or don't go easy on me, should I say?
I think on current form at the moment, I could see a City win. But I can see your points that you're making in terms of Chelsea. They are the European champions, as I did say, and I think they could give them a real good game. But I think you might come up a little bit short, or I think it might end up being a draw. And I think a draw even probably takes you out of the title race. That's what I'm thinking, because a draw would make you still 10 points behind, but you're running out of games where you can affect the title race in terms of you'll have played City twice now. So you can't, you're going to find it very hard to affect the top.
And we played Liverpool twice as well now on top of that as well. Yeah.
So that's what I mean. So in terms of you don't have that opportunity for that like 6 point swing or 3 point, those 6 pointers, they will be gone. So it'd be very difficult to claw them back if they come out tomorrow with a draw, or if they win. I think is done in terms of a title race. To be honest with you, even from a Liverpool point of view, I think if you don't beat them tomorrow, I think the title race is done for both of us anyway, because where I could see us going to the Etihad potentially and getting a result, I don't think it will be enough, because I think we have the ability and yous have the ability to drop more points in the run-in than what they do. And that's where I see the problem. I just think this year, I think they got out of the traps because remember, they normally start a little bit sluggish and slow, and then they come really good in the second half. This year, what they've done is they've taken the opportunity of everything that everyone has had to face, and they've come out of the traps like trap 6 and gone 3 or 4 lengths ahead. And now they're coming into where what I would call City's prime. That run into the title is where they are so mentally and physically strong. Like if you look at City most of the times, okay, we mentioned already they haven't been greatly affected by the virus. There has been a couple of outbreaks, but nothing major that has affected their squad. It's so strong. But also, you rarely see them get injuries. How often do you see like big players for them out, prolonged? That kind of.
Well, I think that's also a credit to, and I hate giving him credit, but I think it's a credit to Pep, because he knows how to rotate his squad, and he does it 100%. So much better than any other manager. Like he has his his squad of 24. Where pretty much that's what you should have, right? A squad of 24. 2 players for each position, and that should be the way it is.
Yeah,
but he does it. He minimalizes the potential risk of injury so well by changing. Like you don't always see the same backline for City every week. You will change. Like you played a fucking full 90 minutes. You've actually earned yourself a week off here. I'm gonna bring Aki in.
Or once he sees a drop off at all, he identifies this guy needs a week or 2 out, takes him out and puts that other Lego piece in. But the difference between us and them is when he puts that other Lego piece in, it's of similar quality. It does not a drop off,
Well, what did I say to you at the start? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be like bitter here or like that. Like, because we're a Chelsea and Liverpool fan here talking, so we both are in agreement. That's what £1 billion gets you in 5 years or whatever. He spent £1 billion in 5 years. So again, I'd like to see him what he could do with Brighton. That's my only. That's always been my question with Pep. I know people go, well, he done it with Barcelona. Well, not really, because he didn't bring all these players through. They were already there. Do you know what I mean? The likes of Xavi and Iniesta and all these lads were there. Yeah. I kind of respect the likes of a Tuchel and a Klopp a little bit more, because I can see what they do with. It's not a campaign against Pep Guardiola. I'm not trying to say that in any way, shape, or form, but we do have to put the context on it there. The reason that they have players for every position is because they can go out and spend. I mean, do you remember that season when Mourinho complained as well? He goes, they went out and spent 200 million on fullbacks.
Yeah, I think I get your point on that, but I think, look, I think Chelsea, with the money that's there, have the ability to go out and do that if they wanted.
But we don't.
I know you don't, but I think Liverpool with FSG, I think there is money there. There's a lot of money coming in there that people are forgetting from different deals and the new Nike deal and stuff that. So if we needed to go out and do that, it could be done, but that's not the way they do business. But I think with Pep as well, the one thing I admire about him, and I say it all the time, is when he goes 3-0 up in a game, he wants to win 6 and 7-0. He wants to absolutely put the boot on your head when you're under the water and make sure that you drown. And that, to me, I really like that trade in him. I would
agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And
I would like to see more of that in my club too.
Yeah. And I also think when he has to be ruthless with players, I think he has no problem being ruthless at all. And that may be a case where he always has decent backup, or it may be a case where he knows there's a checkbook around the corner and he can fix it if he needs it. But I see at times where he can be ruthless. Like it wasn't so long ago. I mean, at the start of the season, they were talking about selling Bernardo Silva. They were talking about selling Raheem Sterling. Arguably have been two of their best players this season. So like,
they got rid of Ferran Torres as well, who wasn't a bad player because he moaned a bit.
Yeah, well, not only moaned a bit. I think in fairness to Pep, he looked at his system, and Ferran Torres is more of that sort of old school way of sort of, in terms of like a kind of a striker, if you like, and it doesn't fit into the system that he's trying to adopt. So he was surplus to requirements.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm thinking. I think I'm going to go with a draw. I'm going to go with a draw, and it doesn't help us, and it doesn't help you. So, but I think that's the way it will be. But I'm hoping for a really good, intense battle of a game.
I think we're going to get that. I do think we'll get that.
Yeah.
I think we'll get that, because I think when you look at how Tuchel can rally the troops like they did in the Lukaku situation with Liverpool, was there on that performance alone with Kovacic? I don't think we've seen a better midfield performance in the Premier League all season than that. Yeah. Every ball he touched, he took down, ran at players.
Yeah.
Like the simple things he got right.
Yeah.
I would be not surprised tomorrow. I'm going to make a little prediction here. I would not be surprised if you saw that same lineup minus without Lukaku, with Kante and Kovacic in that midfield to really put the likes of Rodri and De Bruyne and all under pressure.
Yeah, that midfield battle is really where this match is going to be won and lost, isn't it? That is the actual battle. Everything else is just, I mean, if you look at the two defenses are really so solid. They don't give a lot away. And then if you look, it's that midfield, it's that distribution and that battle in midfield in terms of putting guys in and moving guys around, stuff like that. That's where it's going to be won and lost. And I think you're right about Kovacic. I think he's going to be pivotal to that battle, because he's that big guy in there who's going to stand up to the likes of Rodri and De Bruyne and give them heartache, and I just think it's a tantalizing toy. It's an absolute mouthwater, really. And
it's mouthwatering, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I'd love to say I'm a neutral on this. Like if I was a neutral fan or anyone watching this that's just looking for something to do, to go to a bar and have a couple of beers at 12:30 tomorrow.
Yeah, well, you see, the problem for me, even as a Liverpool fan, in this game, I'm not a neutral. Because I have a card and I have a poker chip in this card game. You know what I mean? And that's the thing.
You need Chelsea to win.
I need Chelsea to win. I need someone to reel them back in. I don't care who it is. Someone has to reel these guys back in to make this season something, that doesn't peter out by February,
I'll change my prediction. I'm going to go bold.
Go on.
I'm going to get you excited now, Niall.
Oh, Jesus. Go on.
I think Chelsea are going to win tomorrow, and I think it's going to be 3-1. And my predictions are, I think Koi is going to score a goal.
Yeah.
I think Rudy is going to get a header.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Man City will like Rudy fucking with them. Those players don't like that. And I think Pulisic is going to get the third.
Okay, who gets the City goal?
Penalty. I think the referees will give them a penalty.
Oh, there's a call. So a penalty for City, and then you have Rudiger, Pulisic, and Kai Havertz. Interesting. There's a call. It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward now to the reaction on the player ratings. Now I'm looking forward.
Wouldn't that be worth throwing a tenner on though, just for shits and giggles?
I don't know whether
probably get decent odds.
You would get decent odds. I'd say you would really get decent odds. You get brilliant odds just on the 3-1. Yeah.
I'm going down to do it in the morning, so
that's interesting. You could do a bet builder on that. Do the score, do both teams to score over 2.5 goals, pick a couple of goal scorers and a penalty. Man, you get great odds in that. That's a big bet. That's probably worth doing. Hopefully on the reaction, you're coming on and you're collecting.
Well, hopefully I'm not coming on crying.
Yeah. There's
And
only
it's the opposite way around.
There's only certain times in this season where a Liverpool fan will come on a show and want a Chelsea win. It's not often. So this is it. But yeah, pick up a win tomorrow, then it's all to play
It's
for,
game
really,
on.
isn't it? It's game
Game
on then,
on.
and let's see how they react potentially, you know.
That's
and-
it. This could do like favors for, well, I mean, like you said, there's only really three ponies in the race. It's yourselves, ourselves, and them. If we win tomorrow at the Etihad, that's kind of the exciting part, isn't it? To see how they react, because you still have to play them.
Yeah.
United still have to play them. Spurs, I believe, still have to play them.
I think so, yeah.
And there's enough tricky toys in there that could just put the heat on them a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not underestimating them, but there's just realistically,
you want them to feel a little bit of that afterburner on them, just a little bit of pressure to see.
You know that deep heat on the balls feeling.
Yeah, let's test the metal here.
Yeah, like how is Pep going to react when someone sprays his balls with deep heat? You know what I mean? Is he going to be, or is he going to be calm and collected and as good looking as he always is? I don't know. But I tell you, I'm just trying to get the rest of the Premier League excited, because this would be good for football if Chelsea win tomorrow. Good for the league.
Yeah.
To keep it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because none of us like that. And look, I'm under no illusion saying that, we're going to go on and win the league. I'm just talking about a game tomorrow. The
other thing a win tomorrow would do, it would stop Chelsea being in that conversation of a top 3 or 4 race. Because there's been talk of that going around, as you know, as well. So it take them out of that conversation greatly as well. You're back.
I am back.
We lost you there for a minute, yeah.
Oh, that's okay. No, I just said no. I think 100%. I think like a win tomorrow for Chelsea, as I said, it makes it more exciting for for the top part. I don't understand why people are going on about this Chelsea going to struggle for top 4. I think that's absolute madness, considering that we're also the same points ahead, if not more, than like 5th place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's more the run of form at the moment with 2 wins and 4 draws from your last 6.
But I think the context of those draws has to be taken into place. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. That draw against Liverpool for Chelsea fans felt like a win, purely because of the whole situation with Lukaku. That's what that was. And like I say, I mean, if he does go with Lukaku tomorrow, and I'm not opposed to it. I mean, in Tuchel, I trust. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I look. But he needs to step up, doesn't he? Because you've said this before, and I know Dazza, the Dazzler, shout out to Dazzler, has said it before as well. Lukaku needs to step up in these big games. It's all right, it's all well and good stat totaling against the smaller teams, and and by the smaller teams, it's grand getting 2 goals against Arsenal and all that, there's no point. There's no point in scoring 20 goals if 5 of them are in the early rounds of the FA Cup and 5 of them are in the early rounds of the Carabao Cup. And you know what I mean? And then you've actually 10 goals that stand up in terms of a record, in terms of what you're doing this season. You know what I mean? Like Kai Havertz could have done nothing last year, but that 1 goal that he scored in the Champions League final meant more than fucking that. And they're the you like to use the words clutch. You want those clutch players that can do it against the big teams, and that's still a question mark, I think, on Lukaku. And I know you're a big fan of Lukaku. Those moments that affect the table, that's what we're talking 100%. About. Those moments. I mean, we need the Salahs. I think if you do play him tomorrow as well, I think he would be a handful for the likes of Diaz or Laporte. Do you think so? Yeah, I think so. I know a lot of people question his hold-up play and stuff like that as well, and his close control isn't always what it should be. And obviously at the moment he's going through all this stuff at the moment, trying to, trying to find himself again or something like that in terms of football with the Chelsea fans after the interview and stuff like that. But I think in terms of his size, he's so big and he's so awkward. And I think he would create problems. So, I think you're right. Maybe you don't start him, but maybe you spring him from the bench if you want something that's slightly different, if what you're doing isn't working. Well, the only thing I will say is his pace when you play him through, His pace is unbelievable, and 9 out of 10 times he will put it in the back of the net. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I think it's more about what way Chelsea are going to play tomorrow than what way City are going to play, really. I think that's what it really boils down to, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we know what way City are going to play.
Yeah.
Whereas, is Tuchel going to go with the back three and the fullbacks, or is he going to go with the 4 at the back the way he has been and go with the 2-2-2? Because he's quite clearly shown Uncle Ralph how to play that system. And anytime he's played that system, it's thrown curveballs to teams. So
listen, at the end of the day, systems are useless if you don't have talent. And I think that's a part of what the problem is with Ralph at the moment. I think he's trying to put a system in place, but he doesn't have all the talent he needs to play that system.
That's
and
true.
The one thing about systems, and Klopp has taught everyone this in the league, if you don't have all the pieces in place, the system falls apart, even if 1 or 2 of those pieces are missing.
Yeah. 100%.
You can't play a pressing game if you don't have dynamic pressing players.
Yeah. But that's it. Like for us, I mean, for you guys, it's, it's the likes of Bobby and it's the likes of Mane and it's the likes of Salah. For us, like our best presser is Mason Mount. And I think that's where he's going to be so pivotal tomorrow. And he's going to play because he's the first name on the team sheet. Yeah. And again, I'd shout out to Mark, obviously. He kind of values Mason Mount. I think people talk about the boy, what's his name? The young lad from Man City, fucking
Foden.
Yeah. Like Foden. Mount's been lost in that conversation just because Foden plays with City. But Mount has had a fantastic season. I mean, he scored a hat-trick against Leeds. He's got his best goal tally, already this year. He's beaten his record last year. The kid has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I think that probably just gets lost in the wash because of the overall form of the team.
Exactly.
So you get drowned in that. But when you personally look at your own form, but the thing about it is, as we well know, personal form doesn't put points on the table.
So I think Mount has put plenty of points on the table for us as well, and I think that's why he's going to be so important. I'm just kind of picking out players that I see as pivotal tomorrow. I mean, I see Rodri. I see that midfield battle, like you said. I think Rodri and the boys for City. It depends what we put against them. I think if he goes with Jorginho, Kovacic, it's still going to be nice. Or if he goes with Jorginho, Kante, it's still going to be nice. However, I personally think that if he went with the Kovacic, Kante, that would run them around a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? You probably agree because you saw the partnership against Liverpool, and the Liverpool midfield really didn't know what to do with that. Yeah, because they weren't expecting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say for City, Bernardo Silva is the guy you have to try and keep quiet. He's an outstanding player. Well, all that's left me say, we're after losing in there. Hang on, he might be coming back. Oh, and he's back.
You hear me?
Yeah, you all back?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Sorry about that.
And we're back. A few gremlins in the system there. But sure, we'll finish up with this. For you Premier League fans tomorrow, strap yourself in, have a lovely Saturday breakfast and get ready because we have a festival of football this weekend between City and Chelsea. Then later on, we Villa and Man U. And then we have the North London Derby on Sunday. So it's going to be a fantastic weekend.
Coutinho against Man U. I can't wait to see this.
The Wizard gets the winner in the last few minutes, maybe. Free kick.
I'm on it. I've already got a bet on it, yeah.
Oh, imagine the banter. Well, listen, been a pleasure having you on. Really enjoyed this preview. We'll try and hook up tomorrow for some sort of a match reaction and player ratings after the game. Hopefully you get the result that you want, but hopefully it's a good, solid, strong battle in there with a real good football match.
With no injuries for us, please.
Yeah, absolutely. No injuries, full stop. Till next time, the Upper Tier on YouTube is the channel to go over there and hit a subscribe. Obviously, head over to Ian as well and drop a subscribe on him. Dynamo's Dozen, fantastic back catalogue there. Some amazing guests.
Yeah, it'll be launching tomorrow. It's actually launching tomorrow as well. So as you put this out tonight, it will actually be launching just after the game tomorrow. So Dynamos Does on YouTube will officially be launching tomorrow. And the first guest is, of course, your beautiful mug with me. So
there's a reason why I'm promoting this. If you'd like to contact the show, let us know your predictions in the comments as well. And if you'd like to contact the show, of course, we are on Twitter at _upper_tier. You'll get us on Facebook and Instagram, the Upper Tier. And if you want to email the show, we're on Gmail, the Upper Tier Podcast. And you will also find us out there on TikTok. Myself and the DJ Dazzler, Ian will be there as well. Dino's there. We're absolutely lighting up TikTok at the moment and having a lot of fun with it. Till next time, my friend. Good.
100%. Best football channel on the internet, by the way. Keep doing what you're doing. Pleasure to be a part of the show. Shout out to all the boys that appear on the show. Dino, Dazzler himself, and keep killing it, my brother.
Awesome. Talk to you soon, bud.
My man.